Yes, now, bless now, people. Don't forget to rest now. There's ROCKSTEADY. There's crack rock on the beat. I just checked this act out. Forced Entry is the name of the band. The album is Uncertain Future. Looks like we've got Steve Irwin here in his last moments on the cover. Sorry to be tasteless. It does look like that. 8 tracks on this record. It was recommended on the Patreon by my friend Jim. And I've said it once, I'll say it twice. Say it thrice. Thank you for joining me on the Patreon, Jim. It's nice to engage with you on YouTube. And it's an absolute pleasure to engage with you on the Patreon. I really do appreciate that. So he's put through this record. Check out Forced Entry from Seattle, supposedly, and I believe this was put out in '89. Also, you know, the publishing copyright states on the YouTube video. Fascinating stuff. At first glance, I thought, alright, we're a bit stoppy and starty, we're a bit juttery buttery. Maybe this is, you know, maybe there's a reason why I've not heard this band before. Maybe it's because, you know, they're a little bit of an acquired taste and they didn't sell out to the degree where they could have, down to the fact, you know, they weren't composing or songwriting to the same quality as their competitors. And then the first guitar solo kicked in. And the guitar solo was of great quality, a great showcase of technical capability and understanding of the theoretics involved. And I thought, okay, this rhythm section must be intentional. Could we call this a tech band? Anyway, Google confirmed it was a tech thrash band. And I thought, all right, fascinating. This is a realm I don't really venture into. And in all fairness, it's very hard to be considered, well, you know, maybe it's not, but in my opinion, it should be hard to be considered a tech thrash band because by its nature, metal as a whole, like, is rated highly given that the musicians are good at what they do, you know. There is a bit of a pissing contest here with guitarists in the metal world, I know that. And, you know, you want to hear good quality, tight, cohesive, well-written music as a whole. So how do you become a tech band? By sweet picking faster than the other guitarists? No, it's a rhythmic thing, it's a time signature thing. And the band was coming in and out upon the same beats, upon the same accents, concentrating in the same areas, even though it was a bit stuttery, juttery and stoppy and starty. And I thought, oh shit, this is composed in this particular manner. And this is not easy to do because we have 4/4 dialed into our brains, at least in the Western world, from the day we're born. Even let's say your parents listen to metal, you have like a somewhat cultural difference to the general society who might have been brought up on, you know, a little more poppier of a music taste via the parent. Maybe, you know, your parents were into alternate music and so forth. Still, it's very hard to come across music and influence that strays away from the general timings of what we deem popular, because anything different comes across as abnormal, you know? It's like learning how to speak a language and you've been around that language since forever, and then someone speaks to you with a different dialect, with a different cadence to their voice, and you're having to now pay a little more attention. And it's quite threatening in a way because you were conditioned to recognize patterns, and in our human brain it's very important for a survival mechanism to recognize patterns, and now you can't recognize what's coming up next. So from a writing standpoint, it's fascinating because these dudes have written external to the societal norm and what, you know, we have trained out, well, what the powers that be have trained our subconscious to associate with music and what's right and what's wrong. And blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. The guitar solos were very good. I'm not a fan of guitar solos. I hate guitar solos. Generally, they bore me. Metal guitar solo, metal guitar solos, boring, get out of the way. I'm a rhythm guy now. You know, when I was younger, I enjoyed a guitar solo. Now it's just like, get the fucking guitar solo off. You know what I mean? It's give us a riff. I want a riff. I want a tempo. I want a beat. I want a pulse. I want to tap my foot. I can't do that to a guitar solo. It's just serving the purpose for the guitarist's ego. Don't care, you know. But with that being said, I do think that the lead guitars on this record, guitar solos considered, were very good, very talented. I thought the phrasing was very good, and I applaud them for that. Great drum sound, very organic kick. Vocal performance was okay. It was nothing special, nothing abnormal, you know. As far as the instrumental is concerned, that's where the technicality comes about. Vocals, not as much so. And it's funny, really, because when we think of like tech bands, we think of the instrumental and we don't necessarily apply the vocal into the mix when it comes to what's considered tech or not. We should do. We should do. We should want or pursue a phenomenal vocal performance if you consider yourself a tech band. Most definite. Second half of the record to me was more important than the first because we actually dialed down the odd timings and phrasings and we incorporated a little more straightforward drive to the riffs, which suits me, albeit maybe, you know, not the selling point of the band, but to me it sounds better. I like it. I prefer it more. Surprisingly heavy. Surprisingly ahead of its time on some riffs. There was some hardcore, like beatdown hardcore, heavy beatdown, or what was to become beatdown hardcore quality to some of the palm muted riffage. Especially on the first track, by the end of it. I've got to take my hat off for that. I applaud that. Very good. If I'm going to rate this record, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Production, gritty, okay, not perfect. The sound good, the product good, the amount of material good. 8 tracks is the perfect amount of music on a standard metal release. I do believe so, and I know people who would agree with me on that. Only thing is, you know, the whole tech element isn't something I go for. I prefer plain and simple minimalist, you know. What more needs to be said? On that note, I'm signing out, people. One love, goodbye.